Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Go MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Floyo. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. He should be here with us momentarily. Oh my goodness, what a night SmackDown Live was. The final night inside of the Thunderdome. Next week, we're going live for real with live fans back on the road as they're going to be in the Toyota Center. As they're going to be at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. And already one match already confirmed for next week that's going to be pretty massive, to say the very least. We will get into that because we had some major breaking news that broke out here today that changes the landscape as we know it on SmackDown. And some big arrivals are coming for the Blue brand. A much needed shot in the arm, to say the very least. And boy, wow. The old saying of the rich getting richer, man, SmackDown definitely got a major boost here today, and I'm happy. Let's just say that. So, started it off with Roman Reigns cutting a promo, interrupted. Well, he basically Roman Reigns cutting a promo, and it came back with the Usos. The Usos came back, both Jimmy and Jay, and it looks like the family is indeed reunited. The family are stronger together now more than ever before, and solid opener, no doubt about it. I was a little surprised that Jimmy Uso showed up. I guess, as many of you guys know, Jimmy got in trouble with the law, a DUI under once again, and a lot of people really kind of went after Jimmy Uso for this. Wasn't happy at all. Very angry with his actions. No doubt about it. A lot of people were very angry with Jimmy Uso at this moment. So we thought he was in the proverbial doghouse of WWE, but he was there, no doubt about it. And now Jimmy and Jay are together, reunited with Roman Reigns, and it looks like the bloodline is now intact, 100% intact. Solid opener, no doubt about it. Anthony Floyo, come on in. A kind of a paint by numbers, but there was a big theme at the end, is the word family, and at least for Roman Reigns and for the Usos, the family is now truly together as a unit, as one.
Yes, indeed. Before I start, I want to share some news with MF and with Bullock and with all of you wonderful fans out there. A little while ago, I had a Facebook Messenger video chat with our own First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson. And I asked her how she was doing, and I also asked when she may be coming back to our shows. And now I'm quoting her as she told me, if all goes well, she could be back with us. Fingers crossed. She could be back with us for either the first Raw or the first SmackDown show of August next month. So just wanted to pass that along to you all, and special shout out to Dee Dee Woodson, and it was great talking with you earlier. Continue to pray for you, and that's all there is to say on that. So if all goes well, either the first Ridiculously Raw of August or the first Cerebral Smack Talk of August, we could have Dee Dee Woodson back with us. So keep that in prayer and all that. So as far as this is concerned, getting back to business here, final SmackDown in the Thunderdome. And MF, it's just like what Jesse the Body Ventura said at the 1989 Royal Rumble as they came back from that 5-minute intermission. The preliminaries are over, and next week it's going to be the main event. So very excited for you guys as far as that's concerned. But getting back to this, anyone wondering if WWE was going to acknowledge Jimmy's legal troubles of this week got their answer fairly early, as Jay vowed to stick by his brother through all the darkness. An emotional Jimmy could be caught after the mid-ring embrace with Roman Reigns. The actual segment itself reunited the bloodline and presented a nearly insurmountable obstacle for Edge to overcome if he hopes to capture the Universal Championship that has eluded him throughout 2021. As has been the case throughout the family drama, though, the potential exists for further dissension sooner than later. It only takes one Uso screw-up to earn the wrath of Reigns and put the relationship back on the rocks. Until that happens, though, the creative team has created a hell of a heel act for the babyfaces of SmackDown to try and overcome if they want to unseat the head of the table. So, a very good segment to start things off here tonight. So, with that being said, Phenom, Michael Bullock, come on in. Your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised that Jimmy Uso was there. I mean, especially after that DUI that he got, that he was in trouble with. Obviously, I mean, a lot of people were not happy with him, but he did show up, and along with Jey Uso, and yeah, it looks like as of right now, the bloodline is intact with the head of the table, and if that's the case, that could be big time trouble for Edge if he has any intent on becoming the Universal Champion. But like you said, Florio, all it takes is one Uso screw up, and it could be trouble again. But we'll have to wait and see on that. So nice opening segment here. So Fletch, it's yours.
First fight of the night, as it was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin, Money in the Bank qualifying match, and Nakamura punches his ticket to the Money in the Bank, and he will be going to battle it out with the other guys. So on the SmackDown side, we got now is Big E, Kevin Owens, Nakamura. And one match later in the evening that's going to fill out the SmackDown side. Anthony Florio, it is yours. The King now ascends to the Money in the Bank. Can he ascend all the way to getting the briefcase and possibly being the next challenger for whoever belt he may desire?
Very possible. What was the time of that fall? What's the time of that fall again?
9 minutes and 53 seconds.
Huh. I thought it was a little longer than that. Maybe it was because of the commercials.
The commercials along the way, but approximately 9:53.
They have had several matches. They've had 6 or 7 matches over the last couple of months or so, and for the most part, they were all pretty eh. But this one here, there's no doubt about it. This was the best of their recent matches, but hopefully, we can never, ever book this match again. I mean, it's been overdone. The wrestlers involved don't have much in the way of in-ring chemistry, and the pairing's overexposure this last month and change has made it incredibly difficult to ever want to see it again. Baron Corbin as the broken heel after a solid year and a half of bragging and celebrating his status as the King of the Ring is a great touch. The downfall will hopefully breed a new persona for the underrated big man who has quickly developed into one of the unsung workhorses of WWE. So I can give this about 3 to 3.25 stars. I would probably say this was the second best fight of the night, and big moment for Shinsuke Nakamura. It's been a few years since he's had this opportunity. So a big moment for Shinsuke Nakamura. And let me tell you, Rick Boogs is going to be a hit with that live crowd. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think Rick Boogs is going to get some monster pops now that we will be going back on the road next week. So with that being said, 3.25, Michael Bullock. I mean, hopefully this is the end of this feud. And if so, what a great way to close it out with, without a doubt, their best match by a mile.
Yeah, this was definitely the best match of the of the matches that they've had. I'll give it 3 stars. I mean, Nakamura punches his ticket to Money in the Bank and has a chance to win that contract. And yeah, I mean this. Yeah, I mean now the. I mean, I can't wait to see what happens with that live crowd with Rick Bogues. You know he's going to be a hit along with Nakamura, and just to hear the crowd sing his entrance is going to be something that I think we're all going to enjoy. So I think this is the end of this rivalry. So 3 stars for me. Fletch, it is yours.
Yeah, without a doubt, their best match of the rivalry, no doubt about it. Because it was high stakes in this one. The Money in the Bank was on the line, and I think that at the end of the day, I think we can definitely say that this was a solid match. Yeah, they're playing different type of stories that you can talk about, but I don't think we really need to go more deeper into that part of it. At the end of the day, I thought they did the right thing. Nakamura deserves the spot. I really would have wondered why they would have done or would have gone the way that they were thinking. But no, I mean, now they have cemented it. They've made it very, very, very clear the direction that they want to go. And I actually don't have any problem with Nakamura being in Money in the Bank. Obviously, I was rooting for him very hard going in. So at the end of the day, I gotta say, this was awesome. So no, this was a big win for Nakamura, and we move on along. So next up we had was Tamina and Natalia comes out and said that there was a brand new tag team that was coming to SmackDown, which is awesome. And that they were going to challenge them non-title. So we wonder who it was going to be. Oh my goodness. Did we get a bomb dropped on us tonight? The Tank invaded the Thunderdome. Yes, Shotzi Blackheart, and more importantly, Tegan Knox are now on SmackDown. So, randomly thrown tag team together, Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart, and the winners of the bout in 5 minutes and 45 seconds was Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart. They just took out the tag team champions. Michael Bullock, okay, what was your reaction to this? I know what my reaction was. My jaw hit the floor. I could not believe Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart. NXT invaded SmackDown again, but it looks like we got them. It looks like Shotzi and Tegan might be SmackDown bound, and if they are, oh, I'm in love.
Well, and if that's the case, Fletch, you're gonna love these two, and they're gonna be a big boost to your women's division, and I was a little surprised. I mean, the one that really surprised me was Tegan Knox being on the main roster, because let's not forget one thing: she just came back from a torn ACL.
Yeah,
and from the looks of the ending of that match this past Wednesday night, I thought it looked like her and Candice LeRae were on their way to a little feud, but I guess that's not going to happen now. It looks like, I mean, Shotzi Blackheart, I mean, you knew it was only a matter of time, but Tegan Knox, I mean, her first official match back was on SmackDown. I thought for sure it would be on NXT, but no, it's on the Blue brand. And yes, they get a big win here, and shall we say, championship committee moment?
I gotta say yes. I mean, you just knocked off the tag champs. Yeah, championship committee moment confirmed.
I say so too. What says you, Florio? Do you think it's a championship committee moment?
Yes, absolutely. And I even mentioned that to Dee Dee Woodson during our Facebook Messenger video chat. I told that to Dee Dee Woodson. I said the same thing, and she agreed as well.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, and as far as this goes, I'm actually going to give it about maybe 2.5, just because of the outcome. I mean, nobody even could have predicted this. I mean, I thought for sure maybe Natalia and Tamina were going to go over, but no. These two make their debut on SmackDown, and yeah, they knock off the champ. So I'm giving it 2.5 stars. So welcome to the Blue Brand. If that is the case, Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart and Fletch. Like I said before, you're really gonna love these two on your roster. It's yours.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I was floored. I could not believe the minute I started hearing the music. I was like, wait a minute, why does that look familiar? The minute the Tank showed up, I lost it. I just fell out of my chair saying, are you flipping kidding me? Shotzi Blackheart. And at first I was thinking, oh my God, Shotzi and Ember. But then I saw it was Tegan Knox, and I'm like, wait, Tegan? Are you kidding me? Wait a minute. Tegan and Shotzi together? Okay, I'm all for it. I'm definitely for all this. I'm in on this. But that makes me wonder, now this is the question that I got. Why was it not Ember Moon? Did Ember get offered and she said no? Or was it just that maybe WWE thought that Tegan and Shotzi are a bigger draw, and that's why they're getting the push? I don't know where this is coming from. I would love to know. I would love to pick the brain right now. I want to know where this is coming from, because Shotzi and Ember are a bona fide tag team. Like, they were NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and a lot of people believe that they could have easily been a threat for the titles again. Tegan Knox, like we said, had just come back from an ACL injury. She tore her ACL. So she's been in and out of the ring for, I want to say, the last 3 or 4 years. Like, she's been whenever she's gotten a big opportunity, she's been cut because she's gotten hurt, and it's been a shoulder, a leg. Now the ACL went. So now you start wondering, oh my God, is she ever going to get a break in WWE? Or even for that in NXT? A lot of people had very high hopes for her, and she hasn't performed in the level because of the injuries. She is injury prone. I gotta call it the way I see it. Now she's on SmackDown, and now she gets an opportunity I'm excited for her. Now, the match itself wasn't great. I'm not gonna, but the shock value, the upset win that they did, and for the champions to let the rookies, and I'm gonna call them rookies because they are, because this is their first night on the main roster, and to let them get over, oh man, that's huge. That's major, major, major props to WWE for thinking out of the box, and 2, giving us a fresh-faced match. That's something that is so lacking on SmackDown nowadays that we really needed. A fresh-faced match, and not only that, we got a championship committee moment. 2.5 stars, absolutely correct. This was not the best match, but for storyline purposes, for the body of work, and for everything that they talked about, this is the biggest moment of the water cooler for the week. Everybody's going to be talking about this. Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart on the Blue Brand on SmackDown Live. Now, are they going to still be on NXT? Are they still going to have them maybe do a parlay where they're on NXT and SmackDown? Are they going to have them do that for a little bit? I don't know. I mean, there's so many questions that still needs to be answered. Anthony Florio, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this would have been another one of our vintage what moments. You know where I'm going with that. I mean, you would have let out we would have done the Corey and Sean Boy Meets World. and then you would have let out your legendary what, and then when you saw them, MF would just absolutely freak out, and I'd be like, "What is this?" And oh my, I mean, wow. I could go as far as to call this a glorified squash, a win aimed solely at creating challengers for Natty and Tamina while simultaneously adding depth to a SmackDown women's division that suddenly and inexplicably found itself devoid of stars following the big news that came out this afternoon, which we'll address in just a little bit. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox looked great in their brief outing, more importantly, looking like they belong. Now it will be up to them to build on the momentum they have and for WWE Creative to move forward with what appears to be a fairly substantial push right out of the gate. If both sides can hold up their end of the deal, the result will be two new stars poised to do big things in a company eager to find new faces to carry it into the future. 2 to 2.5 for the effort here, and MF. I mean, after what happened today, after the sad news that came out today, I mean, boy, SmackDown, the women's division on Friday Night SmackDown definitely needed a shot in the arm. You not only got one shot in the arm, you got two shots in the arm with Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox apparently being called up to the main roster here. So,
and there's another bomb that we haven't dropped yet. Another person's coming, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yes. Also in the women's division.
Also in the women's division.
Another big shot in the arm. You got 3 shots in the arm here. So that's all there is to say there. So 2 to 2.5, big moment for MF. And I believe now is where we're going to address the unfortunate news of today. And I know this one hit MF very hard.
Oh, this hurt. This hurt so bad. Apparently, this was confirmed by Michael Bullock. He was the first to report this. So props to you, Bullock, for getting this story out. But Bayley suffered an injury during training heading into the Money in the Bank event. And Michael Bullock came on to talk about the first part and then came back on later and dropped a nuke on us. Torn ACL. She's out for 9 months. Devastating news, heartbreaking news. If you heard a heartbroken in East Providence, that was me, because that was my reaction to Bayley now out for. She's literally done for 2021. She's out, and now that might be like she has an outside shot at WrestleMania. That's how bad it is. I mean, we're talking. She's definitely out of SummerSlam, definitely out of Survivor Series, maybe Royal Rumble in January, and now has an outside shot of even competing at WrestleMania. That's how bad this is. Outside shot of Mania. So, devastating news, heartbreaking news. Now, she cut in a promo blaming the WWE Universe. Now, that's kind of nod, wink, wink, just to be in character. But obviously, heartbreaking news, heartbreaking story to see her go out. And so Sonia Deville was stuck in a situation. So she has announced a couple of factors. Number one, she has pulled Bianca Belair off of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So you're thinking, well, what the hell does that mean? What's going to happen? What happens is next week in Houston at the Toyota Center, Bianca Belair will defend the SmackDown Women's title when fans come back. So that's your big headliner right now as it stands. Bianca Belair versus someone for the SmackDown Women's title next week, 1 week from tonight, Houston, Texas, Toyota Center, the first SmackDown and the first official WWE event since WrestleMania where live fans will be in attendance. So, we got that. Number 2, the person that's going to be fighting Bianca next week is Carmella. Carmella gets the title shot. She will be competing for the SmackDown Women's title at Smackdown next week in Houston. Now, that prompted Liv Morgan to come out, and she flips on Sonia Deville. Sonia told her to shut up. You didn't listen. And unfortunately for Liv, it was indeed an open mouth insert foot moment, because we later found out that basically we got what we wanted. So Carmella is now officially out of the Money in the Bank ladder match, and Liv Morgan is now in. She's been awarded Carmella's spot in the Money in the Bank. And Sonya Deville was that close, inches away from pulling that decision back on us. And Liv was like, you know what? I'm good. You know what? I'm sorry. I kind of had a moment. I'm good. I'm going to go. But she open fired a shot at Carmella saying, I hope and pray that you become the champion, because if you do and I got the Money in the Bank, I'm coming after you. I doubt Carmella will win it, but anything can happen in WWE. So let's not just gloss that completely over. But man, a lot to decipher. This was a good segment because of the fact that it tied up a few loose ends that needed to be tied up. We didn't know what we were going to get with the Bayley situation. We found out the injury. We know that she's going to be out 9 months. That has been confirmed. Then we didn't know what they were going to do with Bianca. All right, so Bianca now is out of Money in the Bank, but she will be fighting on SmackDown next week in front of a live crowd. That's awesome. I'm happy with that. I'm cool with that. Because of the fact that, remember, a couple of weeks ago, SmackDown had a Hell in a Cell on network TV. And you want to give the fans something to whet their appetite now that they're coming back, now that we're going to get the full house, and they're going to give us a SmackDown Women's title fight. I am not going to disagree or fight this. This is the perfect scenario. Great situation. You're making, basically, you got dealt with a chicken crab ham, a chicken crab card, and we just turned it into chicken parmesan. I am good with this. I love it. I'm cool with it. I'm good. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. And more importantly, the girl that we wanted in the Money in the Bank more than anybody else is now in the match. Liv Morgan got the spot. Now there's 2 spots left out there, and we don't know who the remaining 2 are. Carmella out, Liv is in. We know for a fact on the SmackDown side that yes, Zelina Vega is the second person in. We do not have any other girl at the moment. Number 3 and number 4 are still a mystery. There are rumors who it could be, but we don't have a competitor yet. We don't have the final 2 yet. So how's that going to look? We're going to have a lot of questions, especially on the women's side, that needs to be answered next week in Houston. And maybe that's why they're holding out on Houston, because maybe there might be 1 or 2 significant bombs that could be in the pipeline in Houston. Houston, you might have a problem. And this could be a good problem if you're SmackDown Live. Anthony Floyo, it was a paint by numbers segment, but it did fill the gaps that needed to be filled. But we got two good payoffs. Carmella getting a title shot next week on SmackDown against Bianca Belair. However, the bigger story, our girl Liv Morgan, finally gets her moment. She's going to Money in the Bank, and she's going to be in the ladder match.
If there is one positive of the segment, it was continuity. Sonia Deville has repeatedly shown questionable bias toward Carmella, and this decision continues that storyline, allowing Liv Morgan to crusade for fairness. Now that she got it, there is a very real opportunity to advance that story, with Carmella stealing her spot back if she loses to Bianca Belair next week. But there was one thing that really kind of, rubbed me a little bit. In what universe would it make sense for Bayley to feign an injury and miss out on her title opportunity? It was a silly claim by Belair that was meant to attack Bayley's integrity, but landed with a thud. So, not sure why they took that necessary route, but, it is what it is. I mean, I know that it was to add to that feud, I guess. So, but anyways, paint by numbers segment, but the only positive, like I said, was the continuity of it, especially with, Sonya Deville with this repeated favoritism and nepotism towards, some of the top heels, some of the top female heels. I mean, look what we saw on Raw with her and Charlotte Flair. I mean, tell me there wasn't any bias there. And now she's doing the same thing with Carmella here. So that's really what it was. And Liv gets her spot. That's great. She definitely deserves it. Like I've said on this show many of times over the last year or so, she's improved leaps and bounds. So, but anyways, Michael Bullock, I mean, you were the one who broke this story earlier. You called me on the phone this afternoon, right around 2:45 this afternoon, to tell me this news. And now 9 months and WrestleMania, we'll have to wait and see. But Bayley's out, Carmella's in, and the match is going to take place next week. And would always say, how do you follow that? My gosh.
Yeah, and first off, obviously, our thoughts are with Bayley. I mean, a torn ACL, that's a pretty bad injury. Keeping her out for 9 months, and it puts her spot in next year's WrestleMania up in the air now, because that's how long it could take. And Carmella now gets the opportunity. I mean, obviously, Sonya looks like showing some favoritism to her, and Liv Morgan now gets her spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So I got this funny feeling, and like you said, with this whole thing with Sonya Deville showing some favoritism, like you said, first with Charlotte over on Raw, now with Carmella here on SmackDown. I don't know about you guys, but I got this funny feeling, if Carmella loses, will she find her way back into the Money in the Bank ladder match? And could those words that Liv Morgan has said to Sonya come back and bite her? It could be advance this storyline, but we'll have to wait and see. So I don't know. That's just how I feel, guys. So nothing else to say. Fletch, it is yours.
Yeah, and it does bring up a valid point. I know a lot of people were definitely hoping for us Liv to get in, and now she's in there. But did she open fire too soon that it could come back to bite her at the end? We will wait and see how this plays out. So we got really nothing more to add here. And now we do get into the next qualifying match. And this was the one that was going to end it for the SmackDown side. This was going to determine who was going to get in it between Cesaro and Seth Rollins. And it was Seth Rollins going to Money in the Bank, 13 minutes, 38 seconds. Anthony Florio, I think we can say it. Fight of the night.
Amen, brother. Amen. It was indeed the fight of the night. Um, 3.5 to 3.75 of a star. Seth Rollins and Cesaro are always going to deliver in these sort of longer matches, and this did not disappoint. Now, this is where I got to go into the Jesse mode here. What did disappoint was WWE's sudden abandonment of Cesaro's main event push. After losing to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania Backlash in May, the Swiss Superman was the biggest babyface the Blue brand had. The unnecessary continuation of this feud with Seth Rollins and a lack of dedication to continuing his run at the title cooled him down. Now, after losing this match, it appears as though he is completely out of the title picture, and his spot near the top of the card is also in jeopardy. Why? The man did everything you could possibly want someone in that position to do. He performed up to the moment, had a match of the year candidate with Roman Reigns, and was the talk of the IWC, let alone the IWW, the Internet Wrestling World. Now what? Does he slink off into the mid-card? Does WWE shove him back into a randomly thrown together tag team? But this is where I'm going to be, the devil's advocate here. Maybe someone should send him over to Monday Night Raw, where he could benefit from feuding with Bobby Lashley as a hot new challenger. Think about that for a minute. So, little mini ran over. Fun ass match between these two. They always deliver. 3.5 to 3.75, and we got the field. The field is set, and it's we got a few favorites here. I mean, you look at the Raw side, we have Ricochet, we got John Morrison, we got Riddle, and we got Drew McIntyre. Obviously, out of Raw, Drew McIntyre is hands down the odds-on favorite. You can make a case for anybody on the SmackDown side. You could give it to Big E. You could give it to Kevin Owens. You could even make an argument for Nakamura. Or you could even make an argument for Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, he's done this before. We remember the legendary heist of the century, WrestleMania 31. And that's the last time he was in the Money in the Bank ladder match. You guys remember Money in the Bank 2014? You remember we were on the verge of giving that Money in the Bank ladder match that Rollins won, a 5-star classic, but then those authority shenanigans killed it. But, it was what it was, and I don't know if it's going to be Rollins. I mean, it could be, but Big E would definitely benefit from it. To me, like I said, anybody on SmackDown is a favorite. I mean, any of those four could benefit greatly from it. But for me, the odds-on favorite for that match right now, and I'm not just saying this and I'm not saying it because I'm a Raw guy. I'm saying it because I'm being realistic. I've gone on the record many of times, and I still believe that Drew McIntyre is going to win, and he's going to find that out, and he'll get that out, and he'll either get another shot at Lashley, or he could pull the rug out from under all of us, and he could end up going to SmackDown and going after Roman, and if that happens, oh boy, MF. I mean, that's huge for you. But let's not get into that right away. Let's wait and see what they decide to do within the next few weeks, and then we'll get into it. But 3.5 to 3.75 of a star, and Michael Bullock. I mean, you heard that little mini rant I went on about Cesaro. I mean, the man did everything that he was asked to possibly do, and yet they've cooled him off in a major hurry. And quite frankly, I would love the idea of him going to Raw and going after Bobby Lashley. I mean, he would benefit greatly from that if that were to happen, but I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I, as much as I'd love to see that happen, I just don't see it. I mean, the only way I would see Cesaro going to Raw is via the draft. That's the way the only way I see it. But yeah, I'm with Florio on this one, and I mean 3.5 stars, fight of the night, hands down. I mean, but the only problem I have is the outcome. I mean, it's nothing against Seth Rollins. I mean, I mean, yeah, it's Cesaro. I mean, he's probably the most gifted superstar in WWE that we've seen. I mean, you give him a chance at the Universal title at WrestleMania Backlash and puts on a great effort. I mean, he's done everything right, and you bury this guy courtesy of Seth Rollins. No, I got a major problem with it. And look, it's not Seth Rollins' fault. I'm gonna say that. I think it's more WWE. I mean, what's the matter with you guys? Do you not have faith in Cesaro as a top tier major superstar? I don't know. I mean, that's my only gripe with this whole thing. The match itself was good, but it's just, I don't know. Fletch, what do you make of this?
You guys all make valid points, but the one thing that I gotta say here, and I'm gonna be real honest with you, is that I actually, in one way, I agree with your argument, and I agree with your, with you guys saying that, with Seth and with everything that went down. I kind of feel like, look, there was the one thing that they were talking about was that a lot of people felt that, you know, there's a couple of ways this could go. Number one, it could be Seth Rollins setting himself up for the shot at the Universal title, to go after Roman Reigns. There has been some talk about that. To say the very least, we got that. Two, it could be, there's a number of factors how this could play out. But for him to now get the shot at the Money in the Bank, and it could go a number of ways. So this is going to be very interesting to watch. It's going to be very interesting to see. And yeah, I mean, am I not happy that this happened to him? Absolutely. I think this was horrible that they did this to him. But at the end of the day, this is kind of one of those situations where, you know, I wish a lot of things could have happened here, but, it is what it is, guys. So I really got nothing more to add. You guys made some very, very, very valid points. Main event was actually Edge demanding that he was going to call out Roman Reigns. He does indeed call him out. Roman comes out. Then the Usos came out, and Roman's like, I did not want you here, guys. What are you doing? And in their way, they're like, no, we got you. We got you. Don't worry. We got you. This is we're family. We got you. Well, somebody should have told them that because there was an equalizer. The Mysterios came out and all hell broke loose. Anthony Florio, a crazy scene to close SmackDown as the Usos and the Mysterios, but more importantly, Edge got a leg up on the head of the table.
Yes, he certainly did, and a lot came out of this as well. The Mysterios were off television just long enough that you forgot about them, or most forgot about them. I mean, I knew they were still around. We all knew they were still around, but there were some who may have forgotten. Making their return in the show closing segment a nice surprise that Rey and Dominic have established issues with the Usos and Roman Reigns only make it that much better. Their involvement in this segment in particular not only made sense, but it also set up a potential 6-man tag team main event that could serve as a huge main event for next week's episode of SmackDown in Houston in front of the live fans, if the creative team wants to head that way. Suggestion to you guys, I suggest you do. Edge looked like a man unhinged, hell-bent on sending a message to Reigns while inflicting pain and punishment on one of the men responsible for him not currently holding the Universal Championship. Reigns watching as his cousins endured a beating will inevitably cost him, especially when Jimmy and Jay get tired of taking ass whoopings in his name. No matter how many dream matches WWE throws around, it still feels very much like the only suitable end to Reigns' title run is at the hands or foot of Jey Uso. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how they decide to go about that. But crazy, chaotic segment to close the show. To close out what ended up being a very good final Friday Night SmackDown in the Thunderdome to end their preliminaries before their main event next week. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, we always say it on the show, and we're never going to get tired of it. What edge is always the best edge? You know what it is.
Angry Edge is the best edge, Florio. Unless unless you want the edge from last week, which we all agree. I mean, it wasn't just Angry Edge. Oh no, it was Psychotic Edge that we saw last week. I mean, did you see those eyes of Edge? I mean,
them bug eyes, yes.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, it even freaked me out a little bit. I'm like, all I can say is remind me to never get on Edge's bad side, because if I see those eyes, I'm literally just gonna run the other way. Plain and simple.
Yep.
Yeah. This was definitely a crazy segment to end this. I mean, obviously, Reigns thought he was gonna get the best of him, but no, Edge had a little one-upsmanship with the Mysterios going after the Usos, so that could definitely set up with the Mysterios and the Usos possibly next week. Well, we'll wait and see how that goes, but yeah, I mean, Edge getting the upper hand on the head of the table going into their Universal title match at Money in the Bank. So yeah, so definitely a crazy way to end the show. So Fletch, it is yours, and as I say again, don't ever mess with Angry Edge, or as we saw last week, Psychotic Edge. It's yours.
Yeah, that was wow. That was incredible. That was a great way to close the show, no doubt about it. Crazy Edge is the best Edge. I think that pretty much has been established on so many factors. So yeah, solid way to close the show. Definitely very good night for SmackDown Live. Nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, give me your thoughts. Overall review. Last time in the Thunderdome for Team Blue. Next week, they're going to be the first ones to welcome the fans back. First time since WrestleMania, but this time it's on a permanent basis next week.
Yeah, I definitely cannot wait for that next week. And this was definitely a good final SmackDown inside the Thunderdome. And they certainly went out with a bang. I mean, you had some good matches. You had one match that was not good, but the shocker was the reason why we gave it a higher rating. So yeah, so I'm gonna give this about maybe 7.5 to 8. Although I'm leaning more towards 7.5. But yeah, this was definitely a good final SmackDown before they go back to live fans next week. So that's all I gotta say is I'm certainly ready for it next week, Fletch. I'm pumped up. It's yours.
And you should be pumped up. This is the moment we've all been waiting for since the first time since WrestleMania. The fans will be back on a permanent basis as WWE will begin touring next week. Houston, get ready. Toyota Center tickets are still on sale for that event. And this is 7.5 to 8. I'll give it more 7.5. It was a solid show. It wasn't the most perfect show, but it served its purpose, and they filled some gaps along the way. On top of that, we had some shots in the arm, Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Knox, and what we did not address, the other elephant in the room, Toni Storm is coming to SmackDown Live. So we got 3 bona fide, powerful, amazing women coming to SmackDown. A very depleted roster. It's not looking depleted now. We got some powerhouses coming through the Blue brand. Anthony Florio, it is yours. Give me your final thoughts on SmackDown.
Yeah. A very good way to close out what was the Thunderdome era. I mean, SmackDown started the Thunderdome era. Um, that that last SmackDown before SummerSlam last year, and my goodness, what a way to do it. I mean, both Money in the Bank qualifying matches delivered in one aspect or another. Um, Even though we agreed the Reigns and the Cesaro and Rollins match was a smidgen better than Nakamura and Corbin, but yeah, the Roman Usos, Edge, and the Mysterios. I mean, that's got potential to be a hell of a 6-man main event. I strongly suggest WWE goes about that, because if you want to give them the best possible main event, that's the great way to go. And this was all about shaking things up a bit before we really get back to normal next week. There were debuts, a tease of another debut, a pair of returns to end the show, and a long main event level match as well. It's no classic or like over classic, but as a lot of the action wasn't great, but they did enough to keep us interested for the future. Jimmy Uso still being around is weird, but maybe they'll do something about him sooner rather than later. We'll wait and see. But yeah, 7 to 7.5. As we close, I just want to address the Tony Storm situation. I mean, that's a big get for another big get for the women's division. And just excuse me for a minute here. All right. Just trying to find it. All right. The impending debut of Toni Storm will be great for the SmackDown women's division, but the key to success will be, as always, her creative. Here's hoping her immense talent is backed up by adequate booking, because the division as a whole will benefit exponentially from having her in it. Former Mae Young Classic winner, NXT UK Women's Champion, and a lot of talent, big upside, along with Knox and Shotzi, and all coming to Friday Night SmackDown, and which is huge after the sad news about Bayley today. So, we'll have to wait and see. So, on to Houston. MF, as we close it out. MF, as I give it back to you, like Jesse said, Royal Rumble 89, the preliminaries are over, and next week it's going to be time for the main event.
It will be in time for the main event, and this time it is for real. SmackDown will be the first to do it, welcoming the fans back on a permanent basis. And we just found out today, my good friend Adam Mitchell just dropped a link to me about Monday Night Raw coming to the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. So we found it. We were wondering what was it going to be? Was it Raw? Was it going to be SmackDown? It's Raw.
Yeah, it is. And since you brought it up, MF, real quick, they also announced the next round of venues for the month of September.
Yep.
And at the end of September, they announced that the Extreme Rules pay-per-view is going to be in Columbus, Ohio, at the Nationwide Arena, and some other great venues here. But the two big ones, obviously, your big one on September 10th, when SmackDown invades the most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. And then a few days later, Raw, September 13th. And that's going to coincide with the season premiere of Monday Night Football, when the Baltimore Ravens square up against the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. So New York and Boston, that opening NFL weekend. I mean, that's huge. So
that's big. Big.
So check out the link. It's in there. They announced the stops for September. So just wanted to let you all know.
And I feel like they're going to be doing that periodically now. It looks like once a month you're going to get a big drop of announcements where they're going to be moving from one city to another. It sounds like.
Providence, where are you? Come on, we want.
I know. We're holding out, guys. We're holding out hope. We're hoping that WWE pulls the trigger.
We don't care. We don't care what it is, but we do hope, with the exception of a house show, of course. But
obviously, if it's a house show,
we
we
don't want to do that.
Uncle Grumpy comes out and
we went to enough of those as kids. So but when and if they come back to Providence, we want one of three things. We want it either to be a Monday Night Raw or Friday Night Smackdown, or God forbid something we haven't had in 12 years, a pay-per-view. Come on. Long overdue.
Yeah, it's long overdue. So we're holding out hope. We're hoping that we get one of these big things, or we'll wait and see what happens. So yeah, we're getting on out of here. We're done for the night. Thank you, Anthony Floyo. Thank you, Michael Bullock. As always, thank you guys as always as well. We're going to be doing this again Monday Night Raw, and the Tony's Take 205 Live and Impact Wrestling. And I believe, Anthony, isn't this going to be the week of Slammiversary? Is this the go home for them?
Yes. When it comes to Monday night, we got a big show of our own, Ridiculously Raw. First things first, our final show in the Thunderdome.
Yes.
But the only downer is it's a taped show, which I don't understand why it had to be a taped show, but it is what it is. But they announced a couple of new matches for that show. Bobby Lashley will go up against Xavier Woods, and all four men from the Raw Money in the Bank, for the Raw side of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, are going to be going at it in a fatal four-way. And we're also going to get a fatal four-way from the women's side. The four women are going to have a four-way of their own. Plus Eric of the Viking Raiders against Omos, AJ Styles against Ivar, Ricochet and John Morrison Falls Count Anywhere. That's gonna steal the damn show. Let's not kid ourselves. And a whole lot more. Our final show in the Thunderdome. Can't wait to get the hell out of there before we have our big moment in Dallas at the American Airlines, the home of the Mavericks and the Stars. So looking forward to for us to get back there the night after Money in the Bank. And yes, MF. But the thing was, last night's show was not the go-home show. Next Thursday's show, that is the go-home show for Slammiversary. So I don't know if there's going to be a full preview available, or if you would be willing to include the preview on this show next week.
I believe so. I think we should be able to do it. Yeah, we'll do the preview for the show next week. Yeah. Make it a big show next week, because let's not forget that's also SmackDown's go home to Money in the Bank. So it is.
So we're gonna if WWE wants to pull out all the stops, how about we pull out all the stops? How about we do Friday Night Smackdown, the review? Well, we always do that. Preview the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and then we do a special Tony's Take with Slammiversary, because I'm sure the preview will be available by then, and I can work off those notes. And I know I'm sure you wanna get into it as well, MF.
Of course. Because
Slammiversary is one of the biggest events in the Impact calendar, right up there with Bound for Glory. And this year, it'll be 19 years, but next year it's going to be even more special, because it's going to mark the 20th anniversary of Impact Wrestling. Can you believe that?
Yeah, unbelievable. Unreal. But like you said, this is what we've been waiting for. So next week, unbelievable week to say the very least. And so we really got nothing more to add. So thank you guys as always, and until then, for all of us here, have a good night, everybody, and we will see you on Monday for Ridiculously Raw.